Now to Facebook. The company expected to file to go public as early as today, and it may be the biggest stock offering in years.
Tesla stock rallying strong today, up almost 20%.
Off a whole year riding on an all-time high.
In the annals of history, names like Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk resonate as architects of global change. How do people like Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk change the world? Are they truly that lucky and special? Or is there a surprising secret to their immense success? Today we will unveil the cause, effect, and driving force behind their immense success, and how you can become like them. In the relentless pursuit of changing the world, a paradox unfolds. The more you want to impact the world, the more you need to think about yourself. As Martin Luther declared, "I have so much to do that I shall spend the first 3 hours in prayer." What does this really mean? Essentially, it's an acknowledgement that the path to transformation begins with the transformation of the self. Now you might be wondering, what is their so-called surprising secret? Well, in order to change the world, you have to become radically selfish, in the sense you have to continually work on yourself. It starts by raising your consciousness.
Right now, the most important thing in the world is human consciousness. Tremendous technologies have come. All these technologies, if they have to become meaningful force in human well-being, it is first the human being that we need to work on. Great things are available in our hands, but if we don't have human beings who are in a certain level of perception and wisdom, then all these technologies can be a big disaster for humanity.
To change the world, one must embark on a relentless pursuit of personal growth, a secret etched in the annals of history by those who not only raised their consciousness, but more importantly, who then embraced the crafts they were born to practice. Strive not just for success, but for something called ferocious enthusiasm, the state where your so-called work transforms into riveting fun. You know that old saying, because when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life? Let's take that further.
Given that, even if you're the best of the best, there's always a chance of failure. So I think it's important that you really like whatever you're doing. If you don't like it, life is too short. I'd say, and also if you like what you're doing, you think about it even when you're not working. I mean, it's something that your mind is drawn to, and if you don't like it, you just really can't make it work, I think.
The greatest gift that you can give yourself is to find something that you're naturally adept at and figure out a way to make a living at it. Because if you do that, every day will be a play day.
It is a primal call to be excellent, a force that has propelled individuals to master their crafts and in turn touch the lives of many. Because when you love what you do, it will lead you toward one ideal that is shared among highly successful individuals. You become so good that you cannot be ignored.
And the number one lesson I could offer you where your work is concerned is this: become so skilled, so vigilant, so flat out fantastic at what you do that your talent cannot be dismissed.
People like Elon Musk did not set out with an arbitrary goal of changing the world. They became so good that the world couldn't ignore them. The byproduct of that achievement becomes the work that reaches people and changes the world forever. These are the secrets of changing the world. It starts with raising your consciousness, embracing your craft, and getting into a state of ferocious enthusiasm, and finally, perfecting that craft. All done by radically committing to your own personal growth. Now let's break these down into steps. Step 1. The first step to achieving ferocious enthusiasm is rooted in acknowledging and embracing our intrinsic selfishness. Richard Dawkins, the legendary biologist and author of The Selfish Gene, once remarked, "Selfish genes actually explain altruistic individuals." And to me, that's crystal clear. Richard Dawkins reminds us that selfishness in context of your work is not a bad thing and need not be suppressed but rather embraced. We are selfish organisms wired to survive and are the result of 4 billion years of genetic success. So go with the tide, don't resist it.
When animals live in groups where they encounter each other repeatedly, genes for returning favors can survive. Individuals sacrifice themselves for each other. They give food to each other, to close kin, and to other individuals who might be in a position to pay back favors on another occasion. Selfish genes give rise to altruistic individuals. Similarly, we have a lust to be nice, even to total strangers, because niceness has been hardwired into us from the time when we used to live in small groups of close kin and close acquaintances with whom it would pay to reciprocate favors. This, for me, is the antidote to the darkness some have seen in our Darwinian heritage. And it goes further. The joy of being conscious human beings is that we rise above our origins. Our misfiring selfish genes mean we don't ape the nastiness of nature, but extract ourselves from it and live by our values.
Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, like all of us, are fundamentally selfish, driven by deep emotions mostly based on past suffering, something we will circle back to.
I mean, Tesla really faced a severe threat of death due to the Model 3 production ramp. Essentially, the company was bleeding money like crazy, and just if we didn't solve these problems in a very short period of time, we would die.
Once we've embraced our selfishness as a force for good, it will lead us into the next step. Step 2. Do what you simply can't not do. Or to put it simply, follow your own individually unique inclination.
You have a life's task, something you were born to accomplish. It's something that resonates deep, deep within you. It's what we call a calling in the old sense of the word, your vocation, what you are called to accomplish. It reveals itself when you were a child by things you were drawn to, and then it becomes clearer as you get older that this is what I was meant to do. I'm somebody who's interested in the body. I need to go into sports or athletics or dance or whatever it is. Or I'm somebody that's into patterns and mathematics and that kind of world. That's where I should go into. Or I'm into the sciences and I'm kind of more of an abstract thinker. Or I'm a word person, I'm into writing, literature, etc. Or I'm an image oriented, or I like working with my hands. I don't care whatever it is. It's all beautiful, it's all equal, it's all great. Working with your hands is no inferior to writing a book. You discover what your life's task is. You feel a connection to it. You feel a love of it. Okay, so maybe love enters into the picture a bit there. And you feel that this is something that you were destined to create. And I advise people very deeply on many occasions how to find that. It's a process that you must go through.
What Robert Greene is saying is you're biologically wired to be great at something and connected to it more than any other activity. That is what makes you genetically unique to the 7 billion other people on this planet. It is not about EQ or IQ, but individuality. Everyone's not smart or dumb. Everyone's just great at one thing. The Greek poet Pindar says, "You are born with a particular makeup and tendencies that mark you as a piece of fate. It is who you are to the core." Some people never become who they are. They stop trusting in themselves, they conform to the taste of others, and they end up wearing a mask that hides their true nature. If you allow yourself to learn who you really are by paying attention to that voice and the force within you, then you become what you're fated to become, an individual, a master. You must not feel guilt and push aside the naysayers like parents and peers who tell you to play it safe or take a different path. Take James Franco as an example of someone who was selfish enough to not listen to his parents, and thus from an early age became widely successful at his craft.
Not enrolling in an Ivy League school, I dropped out of UCLA because I knew that I wanted to be an actor. and I wasn't in their theater program, so I went to an acting school in the San Fernando Valley. My parents said that they would no longer support me if I wasn't in college, so I got a job at the only place that would hire me, McDonald's. Now, as you can imagine, my parents were very proud of their son who left a first-class education to work at the drive-thru window. If you know anything more about me beyond an odd talent for playing stoners and idiots, it's that I do a lot of things. After dropping out of school for McDonald's, I worked my ass off in acting school. I had chosen not to play it safe and to follow my dreams, so I reasoned that I'd better work hard at it. No one was going to beg me to be an actor, just as no one will really beg you to do anything you actually want to do. If you want to go after something you love, it's simple. You have to work at it. The film business is such a hard business to break into. I knew that if I was going to get anywhere, I needed to devote myself completely. If I wasn't taking orders at the drive-thru, I was rehearsing scenes with my classmates. And often, if I was at the drive-thru window, I was practicing different accents. And I say this because there was a time when I wasn't an actor, when I was just a guy who loved movies and wanted to be a part of them but didn't know how. And I can look back on that time in my life and see that I was a person who had a certain level of talent, and that after years of hard work, that talent was developed into a skill that I could wield. I worked hard at something and I saw results.
This is why Robert Greene concludes that in order to master a field, you must love it and feel a profound connection to it. Your interests must transcend the field itself and border the religious.
What will see you through is not passion, but the sense of deep connection to what you were meant to accomplish, to a sense of destiny in life. This is what I was meant to do.
So being the best at what you do in a crowded world requires this deep connection to your craft, so your work doesn't feel like work. That is how you compete with the 1% or even the 0.1%. These people work on what they simply can't not do. So now we know how to pick our activity. But what creates this endless enthusiasm that's ferocious? Well, that leads us to the last step. Find what's meaningful to you. There are a number of ways to arrive at your personal truth. It is well known that Mark Zuckerberg's initial motivation to build a social platform was rooted in his disdain for attracting girls. He was quoted as saying, "I am the best coder and maker of software, and girls didn't like me. So I used that skill to create a site so girls would like me." Overcoming suffering or connecting with others' suffering and recontextualizing it to overcome is a common way to live a ferocious life through ferocious work. This is something even Elon Musk has been open about. His past suffering fueled his drive to leave his home country of South Africa.
Cool punching stories, but where I grew up was extremely violent. I never started a fight, except with my brother, actually. One exception. I did beat my brother up, which I don't know if that's how it goes.
We all did.
South Africa, when I was growing up, was just an inherently very violent place. I got punched in the face many times.
Dr. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi suggests, acknowledging that suffering or trauma, even in childhood, has a hidden gift in it, it is your job to interpret it as a possible challenge, thereby embracing it to better yourself. This gives you purpose. Dr. Csikszentmihalyi calls it dissipative structure, the ability to draw order from disorder. He suggests that acknowledging suffering as a hidden gift, it is about interpreting challenges and possible opportunities for growth, creating purpose, and recognizing a shared human experience. In his book Flow, he gives a story of a highly successful man named E. E's parents came with nothing to America as immigrants. On his 7th birthday, they bought him a bicycle. One day while riding it, he was hit by a car by a wealthy doctor. The doctor promised to cover the hospital bills if his father didn't report him to the police. His father reluctantly agreed, but the doctor disappeared and his father was forced into debt and never recovered, becoming an alcoholic. Now this event could have traumatized E, forever turning him into a cynic. However, he drew a curious lesson from this experience. He ended up becoming a leading attorney and then a judge who became an aide to the President of the United States, who fought for civil rights policy and legislation for immigrants and minorities. Dr. Csikszentmihalyi concludes, to find purpose in suffering, one must interpret it as a possible personal challenge, which becomes generalized to other people or mankind as a whole. In conclusion, the drive to succeed often springs from profound understanding of one's inner calling and the capacity to find meaning in personal challenges. To become your best and change the world, start by telling the hard truth. How will you use your past, your suffering? What choices will you make? Will inertia be your guide, or will you follow your passions? Will you follow dogma, or will you be original? Will you choose a life of ease or a life of service and adventure? Will you wilt under criticism, or will you follow your convictions? When it's tough, will you give up, or will you be relentless? In the end, we are our choices. So tell yourself these hard truths. For Mark Zuckerberg, it started with coding to get girls, and now is to connect the whole world. Go on, change the world. Find your craft, perfect it, make it meaningful, but most importantly, be the best you can be.